It happened for the first time on a Tuesday. I remember because everything was normal until that moment. I was home alone, doing laundry. No music, no TV, just the sound of the washing machine and the soft hum of the fridge in the kitchen. I heard it. Someone whispered my name. Not loud, not scary, but close. Too close. Like someone was standing just behind me. I froze. My body felt heavy, like I couldn't move for a second. I slowly turned around, but no one was there. My apartment was completely empty. The front door was locked. The windows were shut. I thought maybe it was my imagination. Maybe the pipes made a weird sound, or I was just tired. So I brushed it off. But then, 2 nights later, it happened again. I was brushing my teeth. I had my head down over the sink. The mirror was fogged up from the hot water. And then I heard it again. This time, the whisper was softer, but somehow even closer. It said my name, clearly, like someone who knew me. I spun around. The bathroom door was open. The hallway was empty. The sound hadn't come from the hall. It had come from inside the room. I felt cold, even though the air was warm. I didn't sleep well that night. I kept the light on. I left the door cracked open. Every tiny sound made me jump, but nothing else happened. Until the next day. This time, it whispered my name while I was walking to my car. In broad daylight. Outside. I was reaching for my keys when I heard it again. It was like someone leaned in and spoke right next to my ear. I spun around so fast I dropped my keys. But again, no one was there. No one across the street. No one nearby. I was completely alone. I asked a few friends if they'd ever experienced anything like that. One of them joked, "Maybe you're just hearing your conscience." Another said, "Probably stress. It happens." But none of them looked worried. None of them understood how real it sounded. I stopped talking about it after that. But the whisper didn't stop. Every time it came back, it got closer. Softer. More familiar. It didn't sound like a stranger anymore. It sounded like someone who'd known me a long time. The last time I heard it that week, I was lying in bed. Lights off. Phone on the table. No music. Just silence. And then, it whispered my name again. This time, I heard it inside my head. Not with my ears. Like it was already in the room. I sat up fast and looked around in the dark. Nothing moved. But I had this feeling. Like something was just out of view. Watching. Waiting. I didn't know what it wanted. But I knew this wasn't in my head. And somehow, it wasn't going away. I had to know if it was real. So I set up a recorder. Not just my phone. I bought a small voice recorder, the kind reporters use. I put it on my nightstand before bed. I didn't tell anyone. That night, I didn't sleep much. The room was quiet. Too quiet. I kept waiting to hear it. And just when I thought maybe it wouldn't come back, it did. A whisper. My name. So close it made my skin crawl. But this time, I didn't turn my head. I didn't move. I just lay there, eyes wide, hoping the recorder caught it. The next morning, my hands were shaking when I picked it up. I played the audio back while sitting on the floor, headphones in, holding my breath. At first, nothing. Just silence. Then the creak of my bed. A sigh. Normal sounds. There it was. My name. Whispered. Clear as day. But that wasn't the worst part. It didn't sound like me. Or anyone I knew. It was too slow. Almost like the voice was trying to sound human. I played it again. And that's when I noticed something else. Right after it said my name, there was another sound, very faint. Like a soft breath. Or something brushing against the mic. I played that part over and over, turning the volume up. It wasn't a breath. It was a second voice. Very quiet. Like it was deep in the background. I couldn't make out the words at first, but after playing it again and again, I caught something. It whispered, "Not yet?" That's all. 2 words. Not yet. I don't know why, but those words made my stomach turn. It wasn't just a voice calling my name anymore. Now, it was answering someone else. Or worse, talking to itself. I took the recorder and threw it in a drawer. I didn't want to hear it again, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. That night, I had a dream. I was standing in my room, looking at myself sleeping in bed. And in the corner of the room, something moved. A shape. Thin. Still, almost like smoke. It leaned close to the sleeping version of me and whispered my name. I woke up gasping for air. But the whisper didn't stop. Even though I was awake, I could still feel it, like it had followed me out of the dream. I looked at the mirror across the room, and for just a second, I thought I saw something move behind my reflection. I turned on every light, checked under the bed, inside the closet, every corner. Nothing. But I wasn't crazy. I had proof now, and I knew the whisper wasn't just sound. It was getting closer. Whatever it was waiting for something, and I had no idea what. For a while, I stopped reacting to the whisper. I thought, maybe if I didn't respond, it would stop. But it didn't. It got worse. It wasn't just calling my name anymore. It said my full name. And not the one people use every day. It used the name no one says, the one I only see on official documents. The one I never speak out loud. Middle name included. The whisper said it slow, like it was testing the sound, like it enjoyed saying it. That's when I knew for sure, this thing wasn't guessing. It knew me, all of me. The first time it used my full name, I was in the shower. The water was running, steam was everywhere. I was completely relaxed. Then I heard it, loud and close. My full name. No mistakes. No hesitation. I slipped, almost fell. Pulled the curtain open fast. Nothing was there. I stood in the cold air, dripping, heart racing. That was the first time I felt real fear. It wasn't just whispering anymore. It was reaching deeper. I dried off fast, walked to the mirror. I stared at myself. Waiting. Watching. I whispered my own name out loud, my full name, trying to see if it felt the same. But the way it said it was different. It had a weight to it. Like the sound came from somewhere dark. Like the name didn't belong to me anymore. That night, I texted my mom. I asked her if anything strange ever happened when I was a kid. She replied, "Why?" I said, "Just curious. Ever hear me talking in my sleep?" A few seconds passed. Then she sent one message that made my chest tighten. She said, "You used to whisper your full name. Over and over. Like someone was asking you to repeat it." I didn't know what to say. I didn't remember that. She followed with, "You'd stop when we walked in the room. Your eyes were always open." I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Because I wasn't just being haunted. I was being studied. By something that knew me longer than I thought possible. And now that it had said my full name, it felt like it was calling something forward, calling something out of me. And deep inside, I had a feeling that whatever it wanted me to become, I was getting closer to it. I started noticing something strange. The whisper didn't just follow me anymore. It chose where to come from, always from a place no one could possibly be. Once, I heard it from under my bed. Another time, from the back of a locked cupboard. And once, the worst one, it came from inside the wall. I was brushing my teeth when it whispered again. At first, I thought it was behind me, but the voice was muffled, like it was behind plaster and wood, like it had no body, only sound. I pressed my ear to the wall beside the sink. It whispered again. My full name. So quiet, but I felt it in my bones. I knocked on the wall. Hollow. Nothing replied. But I knew it had been there. I walked through every room of the house that day. Slowly. Carefully. Each time I felt that strange pressure in the air, like I wasn't alone, I stopped and listened. The whisper never came when I looked for it, only when I was vulnerable, half asleep, half aware, unprotected. A few nights later, it happened again. This time, I was in the kitchen. I had just closed the fridge, and I heard it. So, it said my name. From inside the fridge. I stepped back, opened it. Cold air hit my face. The light came on. The shelves. Nothing else. But I swear I saw the smallest fog of breath in the air, as if something had just exhaled. The worst part? The milk jug was turned. Its label faced backward before. Now it was front and center, like someone or something had moved it. I didn't eat that night. I sat in the living room with every light on, trying not to blink too long. At one point, I thought I saw movement by the hallway, a shift in the shadows. But when I turned my head, nothing. Still, I whispered my name under my breath, just to test. And from the other room, I heard it echo back. Not loud, not angry, just patient, like it was playing a game. And somehow, I had already lost. I stopped trusting the light in my house. Not because it turned off, but because one day, my shadow moved and I didn't. It was early morning. The sun was rising through the window, casting long shadows across the floor. I stood in the hallway, yawning, tired from another night of broken sleep. And then I heard it, the whisper. But this time, it didn't come from a room. It didn't come from the wall. It came from me, or something near me. I looked down. My shadow was moving, just slightly. My body was still. I wasn't moving an inch, but the shadow's hand twitched. Then its head tilted, just a little, but enough to make me freeze. Then, I swear, I heard the whisper again. It said my name, and this time I felt it inside my bones, like the voice had skipped my ears and gone straight to my spine. I blinked hard, looked again. The shadow was normal, still, perfectly still. I stood there for what felt like forever, and then I stepped back. But my shadow didn't follow. It stayed for a second, still facing forward, still staring down the hallway, and then, slowly, it caught up, like it chose to follow. I locked myself in the bathroom and sat on the floor. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, shaking, watching the thin crack of light under the door, waiting for a shape to appear. It never did, but I noticed something else later. When I walked through the living room that night, the mirror near the door showed something off. Just for a split second, my reflection wasn't moving right, like it had paused too long, like it forgot what I was doing. And when I stepped out of view, I could have sworn it was still watching me, not copying me, watching. I had to know where this all started. The whisper, the shadow, the strange feeling that something knew me before I even knew myself. So I went back to the house I grew up in. It had been years since I'd been there. My parents moved away a while ago, but the house was still in the family, empty, quiet, waiting. As soon as I stepped inside, something felt wrong. Not in a loud way, not like danger, but like the air remembered me. The floor creaked the same way it used to. The hallway still smelled like old books and dust, but I felt like I was being watched the whole time. I walked slowly, my shoes soft on the carpet, and when I reached my old bedroom, I stopped. The door was already open. No one had been inside in months, but the bed was made. The curtains were drawn, and everything was still in its place. Except one thing. There was a mark on the wall, just above where my bed used to be. I didn't remember it being there. It looked like someone had pressed their fingers into the paint, long, thin lines running downward, like scratches. I reached out to touch it, and just then, I heard it, my name, but not whispered like before. This time, it was like a memory, a quiet echo, a voice from long ago. It sounded like a younger version of me, whispering my name over and over. I stepped back, suddenly remembering something I hadn't thought about in years. When I was a kid, I used to sleepwalk. I'd wake up in strange places, the hallway, the living room, sometimes right outside my bedroom door. My mom once told me she found me staring at the wall, whispering. I always thought she was joking, but now I wasn't so sure. I sat on the edge of the old bed, staring at the scratch marks. And a thought came to me, quiet, unwelcome. What if I wasn't sleepwalking? What if something was calling me? Even back then, I answered. That night, I didn't sleep in the house. I drove back to my apartment, but something had changed, because when I unlocked my door and stepped inside, the lights were already on, and the whisper was waiting. I started pretending to sleep, just to see what would happen. I thought maybe, if it thought I wasn't watching, I could catch it. But I was wrong. It knew. It always knew. That night, I turned off the lights, pulled the blanket over me, and lay completely still. Eyes shut, but mind racing. Minutes passed. Silence. Then, the whisper. It didn't come from far away this time. It was right next to my ear. It said my name so softly, like it didn't want to wake me. But I didn't move. I kept my breathing slow, careful, quiet. Then I felt it. Not the whisper. Not the sound. The presence. The shift in the air. The pressure in the room. The kind of feeling that makes your skin cold even under a warm blanket. It was standing beside the bed. I knew it. I felt it. Then I heard something I hadn't heard before. Breathing. Not mine. Slow. Controlled. Shallow. Right beside my head. And then the bed moved. Just a little. Like someone had leaned against it. I wanted to scream. Turn the lights on. But I couldn't move. Not because I was scared, even though I was terrified, but because I knew. If I let it think I was asleep, it wouldn't touch me. But if I moved, if I opened my eyes, I didn't know what it would do. So I stayed still, until the breathing stopped, until the air felt normal again, until the whisper faded. I don't know how long I lay like that. Eventually, the fear gave in, and I actually fell asleep. But in the morning, I saw something that made my stomach twist. My phone was on the floor, face down, battery drained, but it had been recording. And when I checked the voice file, plugged into a charger, heart pounding, I found something at the 3-hour mark. A whisper, but not just my name. Still pretending, almost amused, like it was learning me, studying me, and worse, enjoying it. I told myself I would never speak to it, not ever. But after everything that happened, the shadow, the breathing, the whisper right next to me, I had to know. I had to ask. So I did. One night I sat on my bed, all the lights off, no music, no TV, just silence. And I said, if you're there, say something. Nothing happened for a long time. No whisper, no chill in the air, just quiet. I almost laughed, thought maybe I'd imagined it all. But then from behind me, not beside, not in front, from right behind my head, it spoke. Not a whisper, a voice. Slow, dry like something old, but not loud. It simply said, finally. I froze. My hands started shaking. My mouth went dry. But I kept going. I said, what do you want? And it answered, I already have it. I didn't understand. I said, what do you mean? Silence. Long, heavy. Then it said, you opened the door. I asked, what door? What are you talking about? But it didn't reply. I turned on the lamp next to me. The light flickered, then came on. No one was there. But the air still felt wrong, like something had passed through. I barely slept. The next day, I noticed something even stranger. My name, my full name, was scratched into the fog on my bathroom mirror. I hadn't taken a shower yet. The mirror shouldn't have been fogged up at all. That's when I realized it doesn't just whisper my name anymore. It knows how to say it. It knows how to write it. And now it knows I'm listening. I answered it once. That might have been all it needed. The voice is changing. It doesn't sound old anymore. It doesn't sound dry or distant. It sounds like me. The first time I noticed it, I was in the kitchen, pouring coffee. It had been a quiet morning. For once, I thought maybe it was over. Maybe it had moved on. Then I heard my name from the hallway. But it didn't sound like the voice I knew. It sounded like my voice. Like I had said it. I hadn't. I walked to the hallway. Slowly. Careful with every step. Nothing was there. I stood still, listening. And then I heard it again. This time, it said something else. I know where you are. Still in my voice. Perfectly matched. Same tone. Same rhythm. Like a recording, only clearer. Like it was practicing. I stood there, heart pounding. And then I spoke. Stop it. And immediately, from behind me, I heard my own voice say, you started it. I spun around. Empty hallway. But I felt it. The space behind me had changed. Not colder. Just heavier. Like someone had just left. Or was still there, watching from the edge of the room. I started testing it. I'd say random sentences out loud. Things I'd never said before. Then I'd wait. Sometimes, hours later, I'd hear the exact words repeated back, in my own voice. Once I said, I don't believe in you. Later that night, as I brushed my teeth, the bathroom light flickered, and in the mirror, I saw my mouth move even though I wasn't speaking. And I heard it again. You should. Still sounding like me. But it wasn't just about the voice anymore. It was starting to feel like something was building. Like it wasn't just repeating me. It was becoming me. Or worse, trying to. I stopped speaking out loud after that. But even when I stayed silent, sometimes I'd hear it anyway. My voice. Saying things I was only thinking. Something happened that I never thought was possible. To spoke. To someone else. And it used my voice to do it. It started with a message from my friend Sam. He called me confused. He said, why did you come to my house last night? I didn't. I told him I'd been home the whole night. He said, you knocked on my door. You spoke to me. You said you needed help. I felt a chill run down my arms. I said, what exactly did I say? He paused. Then said, you said my name. Twice. Then you said, it followed me. It's inside now. I didn't say that, but I'd thought it, just hours before. Exactly those words. He told me he opened the door, but I was gone. He thought maybe I was messing with him. I swore I wasn't. I told him I hadn't left my house. Not once. He didn't believe me, but I believed something else. It had learned to copy me, not just my voice. My thoughts, and now it could use them however it wanted. That night, I checked my front door camera. I don't always use it, but I needed to know. Around 2:12 a.m. I saw it. A shape, not clear, just a tall shadow standing outside the door. No features, no face, but when it moved, it walked like me. Same posture. Same slight limp in the right leg I'd had since I twisted my ankle last year. It stood there for 6 minutes. Then turned and walked away. I checked the time again. That was right around when Sam said I'd come to his house. The next morning, I checked my phone. There was a voice memo. I never recorded it, but it was there. I pressed play, and I heard myself whisper, it's better when I look like you. Except it wasn't me. I never said that. Not out loud. Not ever. I think it's using my phone now. It started a few days ago. I missed a call from my sister, Emma. When I called her back, she was quiet at first. Then she asked, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, why?" She sounded confused. "Because we just talked. You picked up. You didn't say much, but you sounded weird." My heart dropped. "I didn't answer your call," I said. But she insisted. "You picked up. I heard your voice. You said my name, and then you whispered something I couldn't understand. Then you hung up." I checked my phone log. The call was marked as missed. No outgoing call. No record of anything being picked up. But Emma swore she'd spoken to me. Heard something that sounded like me. That night, I stayed awake. I turned my phone off. I took out the SIM card. I placed it on the other side of the room. I thought that would stop it, but then my laptop turned on by itself. Screen glowing, microphone light blinking, and in the silence, I heard my voice from the laptop speakers saying, "Emma." Just once. Just my sister's name. I slammed it shut. I didn't sleep again that night. The next morning, my boss called. She asked why I left a voicemail at 3:13 a.m. I didn't, but she said she heard my voice. She said I sounded tired, not sleepy, drained, and angry. I asked her what the message said. She hesitated, then told me, "I'm not who you think I am anymore." My blood went cold. That's when I realized it doesn't want to scare just me anymore. It's reaching out, using my voice. It's learning how to live as me. And worse, people are starting to believe it. I stopped trusting mirrors. That sounds strange, I know. But something changed. It started small. When I brushed my teeth, I noticed something odd. My reflection blinked a second too late. Not at the same time as me, just after. At first, I thought I was tired, maybe imagining it. But then it happened again, and again, until I started testing it. I raised my left hand, slowly, in front of the mirror. My reflection raised its right. But just as slow. Perfect. But when I lowered my hand, the reflection didn't move. It stared at me, unblinking. I felt sick. I turned away. And for a second, just 1 second, I saw it move on its own. A twitch of the lips. Like a smirk. Not mine. That was when I realized something awful. The reflection wasn't copying anymore. It was watching, waiting, and sometimes it acted first. One night, I turned off the bathroom light and left the door open a crack. Just enough to see the mirror. I stood down the hallway, in the dark, phone in hand, camera zoomed in. I waited. For 5 minutes, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, the reflection in the mirror moved. Walking into frame. But I wasn't moving. It stood there, inside the mirror, looking at the camera. Then raised a hand, and pointed down the hallway. Pointed at me. I dropped the phone. Ran in. Flipped on the light. Empty. But the mirror was fogged up. And on the glass, drawn with a finger, were 3 words. "Let me through." That was the first time I thought, it doesn't just want to copy me. It wants to replace me. I got a message from an old friend I hadn't seen in years. "Hey, are you okay? You seemed off yesterday." I stared at the text for a long time. I hadn't seen him in a long time. "We live in different cities." I replied, "What do you mean?" He said, "We talked. You were walking past the train station. I called your name. You looked right at me." I said nothing for a while. Because yesterday, I hadn't left my house. I was home all day. I even had food delivered. I had proof. But he was sure it was me. He said I had the same jacket, same face, same voice. I didn't speak. I just stared at him, then walked away. Like I didn't want to be seen. That night, I checked my security cam footage. There were gaps. 2 full hours missing from the recording. Corrupted, as it. I hadn't touched anything. I looked at myself in the mirror again. This time, Nothing moved. Nothing twitched. But I noticed something else. There were fingerprints on the glass, on the inside, pressed against the mirror from the other side. Like something had leaned against it, trying to push through. And then the voice came again. This time, not a whisper. It sounded exactly like me. So, if people see me more than they see you, how long until they forget who's real? I don't know who I am anymore. Or if I'm still the one living this life. Or just watching it being lived for me. Something's in my room. And it isn't just the voice anymore. I didn't notice it at first. It started with the smell, faint but sharp, like burned wires or metal. Then the air got heavy, like the moment before a thunderstorm. I was lying in bed when I noticed it. My door was closed, the window locked. But something felt wrong. I sat up slowly, heart pounding. It was quiet, too quiet. Even the street outside felt muted. That's when I saw it. Something on the floor, right near my desk. A piece of paper. I hadn't left it there. It was folded neatly, perfectly square. I stared at it for a long time. Then, finally, I picked it up. Inside, there was only one sentence. This was yours. Now it's mine. No name. No explanation. And next to the note, something else. My old watch. I hadn't worn it in years, thought I'd lost it. But here it was, looking perfectly clean. Except it wasn't ticking. It had stopped at 3:17 a.m. Exactly the time I'd woken up last night, when I'd felt something breathing behind me. I looked under the bed, in the closet, everywhere. Nothing. But I knew it had been here. It left something behind. A message. A warning. Or maybe a promise. Later that night, I checked my phone. My front camera had recorded something without me knowing. Just a 2-second clip. I don't remember opening the camera. But in the video, I'm sleeping. Still quiet. Then, for 1 second, a shadow passes across the screen. Not the shape of a person, it was wrong. Too tall. Too thin. Arms too long. And as it moved past the bed, the screen caught just a flicker of a smile. My smile. But I was asleep. I think it's been practicing. Learning how to move. How to look like me. And now it's testing how close it can get. Before I wake up. I didn't know it could happen like that. 2 voices. At the same time. Both mine. It was late, almost 2:30 a.m. I hadn't slept in 2 days. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd hear it. Not just my name now, but thoughts. Memories. Things only I should know. So that night, I stood in front of the mirror again. This time, I spoke out loud. I said my name, clear and slow, just once. And the moment I said it, I heard it too. From the other side of the mirror. My name. Spoken at the exact same time, with the exact same voice. But it didn't echo. It wasn't delayed. It was like we were saying it together. I froze. For a long second, we just stared at each other. Same eyes. Same mouth. Same fear. Then it tilted its head, just a little, and smiled. And I didn't. That's when I realized something. It wasn't copying anymore. It was syncing. Merging. The voice I'd heard whispering my name. The shadow that moved like me. The calls. The mirror. The reflections. All of it had been leading to this. Not just scaring me. Not just replacing me. Becoming me. Or worse, making me become it. I backed away. I turned off the lights. But even in the dark, I heard it. My voice. Right behind me. So now we say everything together. And I don't know if I screamed. Because I heard the scream. But I don't remember if I made it. Or just heard it being made. With my voice.